Welcome back, everyone, and over to you, David.
Alicia, thanks so much. I have the privilege of honor of introducing Nicole Cappello, who's the Director of Photo Publicity from Nat Geo, for our next presentation. Nicole is currently the Director of Photo Publicity down here in DC for Nat Geo. She oversees global photo distribution for promotional images for Nat Geo television, networks, magazines, and books. She's focused on harnessing the power and global reach of the National Geographic brand to push its visuals to more than 172 countries. She commissions photographers, provides art direction, oversees talent approvals, and retouching of images. Prior to Nat Geo, she was at CARE and began her first hybrid role as a photographer and editor and archivist. And the tuning between the two of those about preservation, about management, about sustainability and integrity has also given her a great appreciation of DAM. And Nicole, I'm so glad that we have the chance to learn a little bit from you today, and welcome to the Festival of DAM.
Thank you so much, David. Hi, everybody. As David said, my name is Nicole Cappello. I am the Director of Photo Publicity at National Geographic. In this role, my focus is on harnessing the power and global reach of National Geographic's brand to push visuals further. My team is responsible for the efficient global photo distribution of promotional images for National Geographic's television networks, magazines, and books. We commission photographers around the world, provide art direction, and oversee talent approvals and retouching of still images. Then we have the task of distributing the final assets for use to our colleagues in 172 countries. During this presentation, I will show you where our photography comes from, some end uses for our assets, discuss workflow tools, and show you the DAM system we use to distribute assets to our teams around the world. First, let's look at National Geographic's reach. Our television channels reach over 400 million households. Our magazines have over 46 million print readers, and our social media channels reach over 500 million followers, a number we just recently reached from the 499 to go over 500 million. With this enormous reach, it is imperative that our visuals match the integrity of our brand. Asset ownership and intent must be clear and consistent as assets move downstream. In March of 2019, National Geographic changed ownership from Fox to Disney. The global photo desk had over 200,000 images that needed to transfer and be accessible to our new colleagues. Our DAM system housed assets from multiple networks and work groups across Fox. Some assets moved to Disney, and some stayed with the new Fox. This is a great use case where the thought, foresight, and planning for the DAM system helped with the transition that we had no idea was on our horizon. Scalability and access to assets must factor into your DAM development. DAM system implementation requires a thoughtful roadmap to ensure success for the future. While the changing media landscape is not a surprise, given the change in how we all read our news and magazines from print to digital, and how we consume television with customers cutting the cord and moving to streaming services, we still could not have known that we needed to prepare for our parent company to change. As I see our future now, our team must be agile and prepared for continual changes to how consumers interact with content. What will happen in 5 or 10 years? It's unclear, but we know we must be able to maneuver change. National Geographic has been inspiring audiences for over 132 years. Maintaining ownership and control of our world-renowned photography is imperative to our business and our brand. The DAM system is one component. The other is asset metadata. It must be clear and accurate, or when assets move downstream, anything can happen. To ensure we would retain access to our proprietary assets and be able to share them with new global colleagues, we had our images in walled gardens. This divided assets into their specific silo. It was easy to isolate National Geographic from the other groups. Then, user groups define individual users' level of access to the assets. We could easily turn off or turn on the National Geographic user group for photography to ensure the proper individuals had access to the assets on day one. Now, in any transition, there are a few stragglers of people that did not realize they needed access, but those cases were very few. Most importantly, removing access was a total success. None of this would have worked without asset integrity and metadata management. Our assets come from multiple sources and promote various products. For this talk, I'm going to focus on the variety of assets managed to promote our television programming. We will look at use cases, pain points, workflows, process improvements, and lessons learned over the last few years. Many of our pain points have been resolved with workflow tools that expedite the intake, review, and processing of assets. This ensures that the assets are as perfect as possible when they are uploaded to our DAM system. Our photographers find themselves in a variety of fun and exciting environments, capturing unit stills to promote our programming. They even pick up some new assistants along the way, like this gentleman on the right. While in the field, we have to provide a way for our photographers to deliver assets to us for input and review, no matter where they're located. If we don't have consistent delivery of images, there's nothing to distribute in a DAM. Using DF Studio, we are able to provide assignment links to our photographers to upload images using a web-based interface or a standalone desktop app. This has been reliable, and our photographers love using the app. The true sign of performance was when one of my regular photographers told me he drops his image files in the app and goes to bed. The restless nights of checking to see if uploads had timed out was over, and he could finally get a good night's sleep. It is not uncommon for our group to take over a hotel room or a ballroom to produce gallery shoots with our human and our animal friends. In the example on the left with National Geographic talent Mariana Van Zeller, we were looking to promote National Geographic's Planet or Plastic initiative. We took over a hotel room at an event and photographed about 30 talent in attendance. This required a variety of poses and props. It also had to run quickly and efficiently so we could get 30 people in and out over 2 days. After the photo shoots, assets had to be approved by the talent and sent to a designer to bring the contact sheet idea to life for final upload and distribution in our DAM system. Once photographers upload photos from their shoots, we're able to edit in DF Studio. For our larger projects, like the program The Hot Zone, we received just over 16,000 images. The unit photographer uploaded daily from the set in Canada. In our initial edit, we identify the top images for promotion. It's usually about 10% of the deliverables that come in. Daily delivery of images, as opposed to waiting on hard drives to arrive in the mail, keeps our department efficient and prepared to pivot quickly. Images are then sent for talent approvals. Many years ago, we would print PDFs and FedEx them back and forth across the country or the world to get celebrity approval on images. Now we use our web-based workflow tools to edit and send the photos for approval. In recent years, DF Studio has fine-tuned their product to make sure it works well with mobile devices. Talent and publicists are able to easily approve images from anywhere on their phone. Security is another important element. Approval messengers require a PIN, which is sent by email, for the approver to access the link. In our industry, it is important that we are able to track and maintain control of images so nothing is accidentally distributed before it is properly prepared to journey downstream. We're able to send a messenger email to the approver with the photos for consideration. The system allows us to set the contractual kill rate, and it tracks in live time as the approver selects no or leaves it to the default yes. That's my little trick, because I find that if they have to click the button, they may not select no, and they may let us keep it in there. It will not allow an approver to exceed their kill rate. When they have finished, they click Submit Approvals, and it is saved to the system. These edits can be locked when returned, so they are not accidentally altered by someone else who may look at the images. Once talent approvals and press exclusive selections are complete, we merge the edits together. This ensures if one person in the image killed it, then it will not appear in the final edit. In the past, we would take those PDF contact sheets and just start deleting things and moving things into an approved versus a not approved folder. DF Studio does it for us seamlessly with the click of a button. The final edit is typically about 1% of the deliverables, down from the original 10% we had in that first pass edit. We're also able to merge together edits that come from our publicists and our creative teams so that we can track their selects and their approvals for what they're using. Having a system like DF Studio provides a large searchable system for the photo super user. The corporate DAM system holds the final selection containing the best of the best. Without the proper workflow tools, we would not be able to maintain asset integrity in our photo distribution. The photography that originates from our department is used for global events. It is crucial that end users are able to locate the appropriate imagery and confirm the ownership and usage rights. National Geographic events can include the construction or takeover of temporary venues. These large carpet, or in the case of National Geographic, yellow carpet events and premieres use imagery as the backdrop for the decor. Here you can see our takeover of an empty New York City space. We built a structure that had virtual reality rides, anti-gravity treadmills, photo booths, and more. All of these components needed unique, show-specific imagery. Our DAM system is the solution. Outdoor advertising helps drive engagement with the brand. We leverage large venues and spaces to let people know how to engage with National Geographic. These bold campaigns could not succeed without the assets to create the art. In this example for the Hot Zone, there were large outdoor billboards and a takeover of the New York City subway. These assets are available in our DAM system to adapt and use around the world. Key art needs to be adaptable for our global offices. In some cases, it is simply the translation of text. In other cases, a region may decide that different imagery will resonate with their audience. The designers need to be able to locate and work with all available assets to create what is best for their individual market. our end users need on-demand access. They can't be dependent on waiting for someone to be in the office. And let's be honest, who knows when any of us will actually be back in the office. External sharing of imagery happens most often with journalists. We have a self-service option for the US journalists where they can locate cleared photography to accompany their stories. Metadata in the image files allows us to know which imagery can be loaded to the press site for use. The website allows them to view photos with captions and credits. They're able to add images to a cart and download what they need. A current pain point, felt more acutely during the global pandemic, is the multiple upload and download steps in our process. Our bandwidth at home is nowhere near as fast as being in the physical office. Using a product with a responsive support team that partners with you is so important. We are currently working with DF Studio to leverage their API to automate some of our steps and relieve these pain points while we're at home. I know that these changes are going to be substantial and make a major impact even when we go back to the office. Workflows and DAM systems are not implement and forget systems. It is important to remember that continual process improvement is so important in a field that changes rapidly. They must be constantly evaluated and upgraded to leverage the tech to the utmost for your organization. The last, but certainly not least step in our workflow is embedding all the metadata and ensuring accuracy. The old saying still stands, junk in, junk out. If we are not diligent in our metadata entry, then the assets in our DAM system become worthless. Our photo workflow is a living, breathing process. Metadata input can be a cumbersome, time-consuming process. However, it is the most important element in DAM integrity. Moving or separating assets cannot be done accurately if the metadata is not complete. DF Studio helped us resolve some of these pain points. While batch metadata can be applied in many systems, DF Studio developed a feature that allows us to import a CSV file from our producers or photographers, and it will write the metadata to the proper files. Just drag and drop the CSV file. We also created custom searchable fields that embed into the IPTC. This allows our colleagues to search specific show codes to locate the assets they need in our DAM system, a very important element since show titles can vary by region and country. After all of this, we are finally ready to load the images into our DAM system. The front-end work with the assets is vital to ensure files are properly used downstream after they are loaded to our global system. It is important to select workflow products that will continue to resolve pain points year after year, so you don't have to start from scratch with a new DAM system because of disruptions in the media or any other industry. The main landing page of our DAM system has customizable widgets where you can add up to 3 searches or folders. This illustration shows searches that display the last 7 days of uploads from 2 different departments, and the 3rd widget waiting to be selected. Colleagues can use this to see changes relevant to their job at a glance when they log into the system. This means the landing page will look different for each user by leveraging self-service customizations. Our robust quick search function can be used and then you can filter down using the metadata embedded in the files. In this example, the user can further drill down from the quick search genius by season, episode, or asset type. Focusing our time and energy on the front end makes the search and download of assets quick and efficient for our global colleagues. The advanced search options allows you to search multiple metadata fields. In the example at the top left, you will see that you can select the fields to search on the left-hand side of the interface. Then enter what you are looking for or what you want to exclude. The drop-downs allow you to pinpoint exactly what you want by using the Boolean search options. When you select an asset, the asset metadata is displayed on the full screen. This is where the user can find all relevant information, the information we have so meticulously curated in our workflow. They can read the photo usage terms, as well as photo captions and credits. Our system has a simple interface. Assets are added to a lightbox and can be individually or batch downloaded depending on the user need. Assets can also be shared directly from the DAM system. There's no need to download and create individual links in another system. There are options for our colleagues to share with anyone internally or externally. The secure share option allows a user to share assets with other DAM system account holders. There's also an option to share externally to people without accounts. We have a way to keep the assets secure. Users can require passwords, allow for view only or download access. The user is able to limit the number of times a link can be used, and you can also expire the link. All links will automatically expire after 120 days if no other time limit is selected. Whether you're building a DAM system from scratch or working to improve a current system, roadmaps, metadata, and workflow are the keys to success. Fine-tuning how we work is a daily consideration for my team. Inspiring global audiences with visuals and maintaining brand control are a priority at National Geographic. Making sure our technology and processes are performing at their best is our job, so we deliver the greatest for the brands we represent. Thank you for your time and attention during this unusual virtual presentation. I hope I can see all of you in person next year. Now, if there's time, I'm happy to take some questions from you all.
Nicole, thanks so much. I feel like my eyes have gone to a really upscale spa today. And I just want to look at those images. Oh, it's been so nice watching your presentation come together. And I know that everyone joins me in appreciating not only the depth of technical thought and looking at this as a program and not a project, looking at this globally and holistically, but also that luscious imagery. What a delight to see.
I have a
We've had some nice
delightful
questions
job.
come in. Yeah, it goes with it. We've had some interesting questions come in, and we have a few minutes for questions. A major brand that's had a lot of brand acquisitions asks a very interesting question, and this goes into an area of a big picture thinking about digital asset management and about risk assessment and evaluating the evaluation and the economic meaning of DAM, and how the assets held in DAM accrue to brand value. And here's the question. As a multiple brand holder and brand acquirer, we've had some images coming into our DAM when we bought brands that were low quality. Have you experienced anything like this? And if so, what guidance would you have on handling it?
Wow. That is a tough problem. At National Geographic, I have to say, we are incredibly blessed to have recognized the value of photography for most of our existence. So most of our imagery is of great quality or is available in our basement, stored in cold storage, and can be scanned or re-evaluated. So I have not had that problem, and I'm a very lucky person for not having had to confront that.
Indeed, indeed. I wanted to make just a comment on several of the questions that have come in, where speakers have given us at Henry Stewart events permission to have either their slides and or their recordings distributed. Those will be made available shortly after the conclusion of the conference in the next several days. As is always the case with Henry Stewart events, we endeavor to share as much as we can. Sometimes we can do that and sometimes not. You will receive a note from Henry Stewart events with a password indicating how to access this content. Several of you have also asked very specific questions about the vendor or about how it might touch other application software within NetGeo. We'll pass those questions along to Nicole, but they don't generally yield particularly interesting information in the broadest sense about what a DAM practice is. They're really interesting questions, so we will pass those along. A couple of more operational questions. Do you ever edit metadata once it is in the DAM, or generally is it something you mainly do before the assets are uploaded?
So our workflow is to embed all of the metadata before it goes into the DAM. If we change our metadata in the DAM, it is not going to write to the file. It's only going to write to the front end interface of the DAM. So in DF Studio, we're very lucky that if we make that change, we can then replace that file or update, not really replace, but update that file through DF Studio and into the DAM. So we do all of our metadata beforehand in DF Studio so that it is actually written to the file. When people download it, then all of that metadata is still attached to the file. If we did it in our DAM, unfortunately, it's only a front-end user that could see that change.
Thank you. Here's quite an interesting question. What's the best piece of advice you have as you've witnessed the scaling of work-in-progress asset management? I like that question.
Ask me that again?
Yeah, it's a question about, as you look back on how this has grown under your leadership, it says what's the best piece of advice, but I'll rephrase it and say, what are a couple of pieces of advice as you have scaled this, as this application and operation has grown so much under your leadership?
Yeah, so I think the first thing, and I highlight this in my talk a lot, you cannot be complacent. You cannot stop and think you have the system right and there's no improvement left. My team, if anybody knows anybody on my team, they will know that I am a constant workflow changer because I'm always looking for a way for us to work smarter. We have scaled up and we have so many more assets. I would say I've been at National Geographic 9 years, and I would say that, our increase in assets is probably about 500% since I arrived. And my staff has only grown by 1. So, so it is all about working smarter and networking with colleagues, talking about how other people are using systems, and finding the small nuggets that work for your group. Unfortunately, I don't think there's one person you can go to. The skill is just networking, talking, researching, and not being afraid to ask questions.
Let's refactor that answer into a question that came in. As we heard Teresa talk about people, process, and technology, something that all of us manage all the time in DAM projects, let's turn a bit with our last question to the people side of this. Your career background in photojournalism and in journalism, where you got your degree in, and then as a photographer, as an editor, and now as overseeing quite a complex workflow and the processes that you're always paying consistent and refreshed attention to. So a question came in. Was your background in photojournalism best suited for this, or would you see someone with a library science background being able to perform in this kind of role?
I think somebody with a library sciences background could 5,000% do this job. I am in awe of library science people. I think what has been useful for me coming from a journalism background is that I believe strongly in the integrity of accurate information. And that really helps with metadata. I also feel like having been a photographer, working as an editor, and deciding what assets we're going to use, that knowledge of the photo process has been so important. My photographers often say to me like, oh, I forget, you totally get this because you used to do it. You know, they don't have to go into long explanations about things because I understand what they're going through. So I think there are definitely things that make me skilled for this job, but a library science person could absolutely do it. And, you know, I think it's a great skill, and it's, you know, something that at the time of me going to college was not really on my radar of something to do. You know, digital photography.
You didn't major in digital asset management, Nicole?
Well, you know, digital photography barely existed when I was in college. So I remember having photographers come and have those big, like, mounted digital things on the bottom of their cameras, and they were so heavy and only used for special circumstances. So, you know, it wasn't really something that I could do in college, but it's something that I've learned on the fly, and I've had great employers support my learning process.
Well, Nicole, this is normally the point where I would ask the audience to join me in thanking you, which they're already doing on the chat. But here's a way to end before a couple of housekeeping notes. Tell us what's on that poster behind you, speaking of Nat Geo and your own beliefs.
Yeah, so the poster says, the world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. And as someone who is missing travel so much right now, I find it very appropriate.
My suitcase keeps going to the back door all by itself. I really must talk to it. So Nicole, thank you very much. We're going to break now from this session, and we've got an afternoon of terrific technical discussions. We've got panel sessions, and I'll look forward personally to joining you again a little later afternoon and for a session about metadata. But in the meantime, please join in to the many interesting activities that are encapsulated on the agenda for Festival of DAM. And again, Nicole, our thanks.
Thank you.